All right. Here we go, guys and gals. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, drivers.
Welcome back to the Loose Wheel Show. My name is Andrew Hazlett. That is Ethan Ignatowski.
What's up?
Uh, my ceiling is up.
Mm.
Ask riveting questions, get riveting answers on the Loose Wheel Show. Into the reviews.
And now for last week's race reviews.
Road America, Indy Next. Your winner was Kyle Collette, his first win of the season. So good for him. Louis Foster, he was on pole, and he led. And then David Malukas spun, brought out a caution on lap one for the second straight race. I don't think Detroit had a lap one caution, which is weird because you think about it, of the last four races, Indy 500, Detroit, Gateway, and now Road America, you'd think Detroit would be the one with the lap one caution, but I guess not. I could be misremembering, and there could have been a lap one caution, but I don't remember that happening. I believe they got through that fine. Anyway, a few pit with Marcus Armstrong leading them out. McLaughlin gets the lead on the restart. Howard shoves Kirkwood off the track for P4. Robert Schwartzman spun into the wall. He had a DNF. 18 of Renus VK overtook before the restart. He had a drive-through penalty. Stingray Robb then crashed. Most pitted. Christian Lundgaard was first out, passing Louis Foster. Then Scott Dixon inherited the lead after green flag pit stops for some people. Connor Daly was off. Well, no. Dixon inherited the lead because he didn't pit on the previous caution. Then we had green flag pit stops for some. Connor Daly goes off for caution. And then as they were towing him out, he left with the tow rope still on. So that, my friends, is the ARCA brakes moment of the week. Just quite frankly, a, a goofball mistake. It was funny how the broadcasters were saying, "Oh, that race car now has a tail," as a joke. So yeah. Um, Moving forward, we had pit stops for some of the field. This is a second group of pit people pitting. And Palou was first off. Lundgaard led this still led the race because he has yet to pit. So green flag pits that didn't stop under the yellow before it. So you have three different groups of pit stops. Group A, Group B, Group C. We'll talk about each group, with the Group A being the first and B and C going so forth. Not necessarily how the best. Dixon was leading after that second group, that third group of people stopped. Will Power spun, there's no yellow. And then Joseph Newgarden spun into the wall, bringing out a caution. Joseph Newgarden has had a horrific season to forget. And this is one of those first self-inflicted wounds as a driver because he was running good. Yeah, that just happened. And then once we got going, we had a Lundgaard spin. And keep in mind, he was the first on his strategy. This quote unquote C strategy is what I'm calling it. So he might have been on pace to win. Would have been close, but unfortunately he had to spin. We had a round of green flag pit stops. Each group pitted. Nine of Dixon re-emerged for the lead. And at this point, we had a fuel race with because I'm sure Dixon and Rossi were the top two on the first strategy. Then unsure if they could make it. Then you had Palou and Ferrucci were on the top two on strategy number two. And then at this point, the third strategy was Rosenquist, Kirkwood, and Armstrong. This that was your strategy C. At this point, we knew the strategy C people were good to the end. Not sure about A or B. So with four to go, Alex Rossi pits from third, and then Scott Dixon on the last cycle, he came in one lap later. But with two to go, Dixon pitted. And then Alex Palou, he pitted two laps after Dixon. So it'll be interesting if he could make it. And he wound up making it. The podium wound up being Palou, Rosenquist, Ferrucci. And then there was a handful of cars that didn't do cool down laps because they were low on fuel, those being Ferrucci, Rahal, Herta, Ericsson, VK, and Award. Uh, Post race, Graham fans threw Graham Rahal a water and Santino Ferrucci a beer. I would give that race a 9 out of 10. A lot of action and jostling in the mid pack through that race. A good strategy. It was unclear who was going to win for a lot of that race. So didn't have as much passing for the lead as a typical 9 out of 10 would. There was so much happening. It was a very complex race that I enjoyed. I don't know if Ethan, if you were watching the race.
Nah.
Yeah, Mr. Preoccupied was preoccupied.
I mean, uh, sorry, dude. I'm busy now. Well, you're gonna have to bleep that. Have fun. That's what you get.
Okay, um, gotta write that down. Choo. All right, so Mr. Busy picked up this some profane language.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's what you get.
eh, you're lucky I don't give you the chicken award. Anyway,
I dare you.
no, I already have one here. I
Oh,
better. You're not worthy.
wow. Ouch.
All right, Pocono for NASCAR. Lane Riggs won the truck race. Connor Zilisch won the Xfinity race. Quick, interesting moment is that a couple of weeks ago on Dale Jr.'s podcast, he had Justin Allgaier and Allgaier's crew chief Jim Pullman on, and he said when I think it was after Nashville that Allgaier won, Allgaier went out his roof hatch, and and he said, "Oh, whenever uh, you guys do that, makes me think y'all are trying to hide something illegal." So anyway, 2 weeks ago, I think this was also, no, this was at Michigan. No, they didn't race Michigan. I think this actually was Nashville. That Connor Zilich's crew chief, Marty Lindley, got suspended because they didn't have enough lug nuts on the race car. So they deferred the suspension from Mexico City to Pocono. And so this replacement crew chief, Ethan, is Dale Jr. So
Which is so cool.
they went on to do that. And it was Connor Zilich winning the race. And knowing Dale Jr.'s comments, he popped out of his roof hatch at the end of the race, which was just mildly funny. Any
Yeah.
Pocono, we had a rain delay that lasted about 2 hours, but we got going, and it was a race. Hamlin holds the lead from pole, some pit late to kind of flip the stage, and 11 wins. Hamlin wins stage one. How riveting. Stage two. Busher was first off. The top seven stay out, led by Brad Keselowski. Riley Herbst has a tire go down. His race is over. Few pit. Allmendinger hits his tire out of his tire carrier's hands into Shane Van Gisbergen's tire carrier, and but he was able to stay in the race, so that's good. Keselowski holds lead. Bubba Wallace has a brake rotor go, and Brad Keselowski under the caution. The team called him in too early while pit road was closed, and they had to go tail end of the field, and they didn't even realize it that they pitted on pit road closed until everyone else came in the next lap. So the sixth team, crew chief Jeremy Bullins, you get the chicken award. Yeah. And then the three Penske guys, or actually two of the Penske guys, and then the Wood Brothers team, all stay out. Blaney was the first guy on for fuel. Hamlin was on two tires. Hocevar was on four tires. Uh, Dow went on the wall brakes. His brakes let go. Then we had a caution for debris. Stenhouse leads as most pit with Alex Bowman leading that group off. And then Briscoe gets the lead. And we had a spin slash wreck that featured Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Ty Dillon, with Kyle Busch was the one that spun first. His season to forget continues. Briscoe holds the lead, and Briscoe wins stage two. Few pit to start under the stage three yellow, with Briscoe holding the lead. We have green flag pit stops. Thing about Briscoe is he went early because you have to wait on fuel because that's how much fuel you need to get to the end. He went a little early, and the team's like, I don't think we can make it to the end. Shane Van Gisbergen spins mid-cycle. Keselowski was leading, and Blaney caught the caution at a good time because he was on pit road mid-cycle, so he would have been further back in the field. He wound up being third on the restart. Sixth team another pit road blunder because the team was like pit this lap, and Keselowski's like, no, I'm gonna stay out one more lap, which ended up burning them again. Uh, Briscoe gets the lead, and then for the last, I don't know, 30, 40 laps, we had just some Briscoe is saving fuel, but Hamlin couldn't pass him because guess what? Aero is this car is just so bad with the aero and dirty air and stuff. So it's so hard to pass for the lead. Briscoe saved fuel. Denny Hamlin in second was pushing 100%, and Hamlin couldn't get around him. So it was a kind of a frustrating race to watch at the end there because what could have been and should have been an interesting race just couldn't because Hamlin, like, you have the level of the level of performance you have to be to pass for the lead is huge, and the difference between those cars wasn't huge enough for that to happen. Uh, if you were to look throughout the field, it's easier to pass because there's more dirty air from cars, and everyone's in it. When you've got clean air being king, it's hard to lose that. It's like being a billionaire and just reinvesting it into stuff that's going to make you more money. That's kind of my analogy for it, but it's hard to say. Like I said, 4 out of 10, not very good.
And now for the news.
Into the news, Ethan. We've got some NASCAR court updates for both of the suits. So let's get into it, shall we? This is from Jenna Fryer. She says Judge Bell which is not any relation to Christopher Bell, tells NASCAR in 23, quote, "It's hard to picture a winner if this goes to the mat or to the flag in this case," Bell said. "It scares me to death to think about what all this is costing." Um, First of all, wow. If
Yeah.
the judge who's managing this case is saying this, yeah, these NASCAR and the teams have just said, okay, we're not budging. And they're not, I don't think they're close to an agreement right now. And yeah, I think the judge wants it to go to arbitration because that would be best for everyone. But if this has to be settled out in court in this off season, I think it's sometime in December, it's not going to be, I don't think anyone's going to win because right now, after Atlanta, this is the third race of the team where the teams can still have their charters for now. Um, they lose their charters. That's hurts the teams. Who knows what sponsors and even drivers could possibly leave now or in the off season because part of these deals are saying, okay, you're going to be a charter. And now the teams not having their charter doesn't look good for the teams. And then at this point, the fact that these two parties can't reach an agreement, just too stuck in their ways at this point. I think what NASCAR and the teams in the past was a good thing is they, okay, we're not gonna, you agree, we can negotiate on terms, and then we agree. And that works out best for you, referring NASCAR's point of view for the teams and for us. Most of the teams agreed. They thought this was the case. But these two outliers, 2011, 2311, and FRM said, no, this is too unfair and didn't want to sign the agreement. And they disagreed there. And I don't know if it's hurting the sport as from a like a fan attention, but I think there could be some kind of revenue shake up somewhere and possibly lost on definitely for the teams because they're not going to be chartered. And who knows if NASCAR's they got to pay their lawyers, so they're losing money there. So I think it's like Judge Bell said, everyone's losing even if there's a winner. I wish I I get what the teams are trying to do. I just don't think what the process that they're going by is the best way to accomplish. I don't know what have been a good alternative or to have been, but I don't know. This is very interesting quote from Judge Bell. We'll see. We'll have updates for you when we have updates for you. And then the other uh, piece of NASCAR news, Rick Ware Racing countersuing Legacy Motor Club over the charter deal. It's from Toby Christie. Kind of, it's going to be a little wordy here, but I'll explain this for you. Rick Ware Racing explains that it is set to lease its charter used to 51 in 2025 to RFK Racing in the 2026 season. Rick Ware Racing intends to use the charter leased to RFK for the 51 entry in 2026 and had planned on selling the current 51 charter to Legacy Motor Club for the 2027 season. The first two parts we already knew is Uh, that was kind of the plan for Rick Ware Racing when they were leasing the charter. After those 2 years were done, when they couldn't lease their charters anymore, it was unclear where they were going to go with that. And going further, due to the rules within the NASCAR charter agreement, Rick Ware Racing is unable to lease charters for multiple seasons during the 7-year charter agreement, meaning if they're up to uphold their 2-year charter lease agreement with the RFK Racing, it would have to be with their current 51 charter in 2026, which you kind of explained there. However, Rick Ware Racing claims that Legacy Motor Club is seeking the incorrect charter in its complaint against their organization. According to the countersuit, an initial sales contract drafted in February contained several errors and had to be reworked. Once reworked, both parties signed the agreement, which RWR claims the sale of the charter for the 51 car for the 2027 season. Rick Ware Racing claims Legacy Motor Club claims the incorrect charter in its initial lawsuit against the organization and that the charter would be sold to them for the 2026 season, which Rick Ware Racing contends was not what it had to agree to in the signed contract. In the counterclaim, Rick Ware Racing says, quote, should Rick Ware Racing be forced to sell the charter currently being leased to RFK Racing for 2026, it would have no charter under to race and would go out of business. For this reason, Rick Ware Racing would have never to agreed to sell a charter in advance of the 2026 season. So I'm going to stop for a minute. Yeah, that makes sense because there is no particular reason for Rick Ware Racing to sell a charter after this 2025 year because they can still lease one of their charters and they would like to race as a race team with a charter. I'm going to go back to a quote. It would have no charter under which to race and would go out of business. That's kind of an interesting quote because they can still run unchartered. Yes, they would lose money. Would they go out of business? I don't I don't think so because they still could run a race team. I think that's a little extreme there, but it's plausible. But I don't know that to be true. And then Rick Ware Racing is seeking for the court to dismiss Legacy Motor Club's initial complaint, and Rick Ware Racing believes the initial sales contract should be voided as there were, end quote, meeting of the minds, quote, during the contract dispute. And Rick Ware Racing believes that Legacy Motor Club has forfeited its right to the charter. Rick Ware Racing has also detailed in the new filing that is attempted multiple times to return a non-refundable $750,000 deposit payment to Legacy Motor Club for the charter sale, which was for a total of $45 million, the largest sales price of a NASCAR Cup Series team charter since the charter system was created. Oh boy, that's a lot of words. Um, that's interesting because Rick, I think, here's what I think is probably going to be the outcome of this. Rick Ware Racing's probably going to get maybe a little more money than what they wanted from the charter because of this countersuit. Because this all makes logical sense. So Rick Ware Racing, in their right mind, they would not be running without a charter. And also, they would like to be racing. And they'd also like to sell on their charters because I don't think they want to run two cars right now. I think they want to run one car for Cody Ware, like it or not, and be done. That's all they want to do right now. Which, so be it. It's fine. That all makes sense. I don't, but there could have been something that in the contract they signed, or I don't know, that they would have sold it for 26 prior to 26. Regardless, it's kind of interesting to see who will win. I think they'll probably win, get a little more money for breach contract, but I do think they'll wind up selling that charter to Legacy after the 2026 season anyway, because we know Legacy Motor Club wants a charter, and B, we know Rick Ware Racing wants to sell a charter. Rick Ware Racing could also wind up be selling that charter to RFK Racing, who they're leasing that charter to, but we don't know. We will see. I think that's interesting to follow. So I don't really see any other team wanting to sell or lease right now. I don't know. I obviously don't know, but it's interesting to see. We'll see how this goes kind of with the other suit, but it's very interesting. Charters, here's the thing. I didn't like this charter system when I first heard of it, because I didn't like guaranteed spots for every race for 36 teams. It also shrunk the field from 43 to 40. It's not something I really liked. And now, however many years, I think now about 8 years, 9 years after the system's created, we're having 2 lawsuits with this system. Makes me think that the system is broke, which I thought was from day one, because Michael Waltrip Racing, who had announced, "Oh, we're not going to be racing," in the first year of the charter system, received 2 charters. It's like, how does that make sense? And you know who was the mastermind behind the charter system? One of the executives at Michael Waltrip Racing. Planned to get more money in his pocket. So I'm not a fan of this system. I think they should get rid of it, but I I I I don't think they will, but we'll see. Ethan, you want to get into F1 news, or if you want to comment about either of the suits, go ahead.
Let's get into F1 news. Um, James Vowles signed a long-term deal to stay at Williams, apparently. I didn't find anything on that. You put it in the document, but I have no reason to think that you're lying to me, Andrew.
This is from
So,
racer.com
so
with
there you go.
Chris Medland.
Medland.
This came out a while ago.
Yeah.
He doesn't say how long it is in the article,
I
but
mean, look, you don't really hear how long contract extensions are in F1, at least not right out of the gate. But James Vowles has done everything and more to deserve an extension, really. He's brought in multiple partners into that team, on the financial and technological side. He's obviously brought in an amazing driver in Carlos Sainz. I don't remember if he brought in Alex too, or if Alex was already there, but either way, he has created an amazing driver lineup. They are going committed full force for the 2026 regulation change. So by the time that comes around, that team very well could be dangerous. I don't personally think that it'll be like, but that they'll be like fighting for race wins, because this team has a long way to go. But this could be a vastly improved top of the midfield team for sure, as soon as next year. So I think that there's no reason to not give him a contract extension with the way that things are trending. He's already pulled Williams into a much better position. So that's my take on that. Next bit of F1 news is that the F1 movie is officially out. Now, I know you, or I don't think it's like officially out. I think they had like their premiere the other day. It
Hmm.
will be officially out in theaters within the next few days, though, because that's how movies work.
I think it's
Official
on
premiere, and
Friday.
then
If
Friday. There we go. So by the time we record next, it will be out. Now, Andrew, I know that you hate movies, so I doubt you're gonna go see it.
Yeah, that is correct. I had some interest into it until I saw one of the trailers, and it looked like to me literally the same storyline as Breaking Point in the F1 video games. So it's like, I don't know, Jim. I don't know.
I
Uh,
don't I don't know what the F1 video game storyline is.
you don't never played Breaking Point in the F1 video games? Call yourself a
No.
race fan? Um,
What I do know is that I will be going to see the movie on Monday. So this time next week, I will have
a
a
movie
full
review.
review for
Okay.
everyone's
Mhm.
viewing or well, listening pleasure.
I will want a review of the soundtrack as well.
All right, I got you. I got you.
I, they,
Um,
they've already released multiple of the songs, and two of them are in my playlist. Fun fact. Yeah,
thanks for sharing.
my
Um,
3,000 plus song playlist.
yeah, which is how many hours?
I'll give
How
you a
many
minute.
days?
I'll give you a minute for that. So just
Okay. Um, well, Andrew is scrolling to the bottom of his 7 billion song Apple Music playlist to figure out how many hours that is. I will go over the next two pieces of F1 news. Just two quick hits. Actually, one I want Andrew to comment on. So first, Mari Boya, who is in FIA Formula 3, not exactly having a great year. Had a third place podium finish in the Monaco feature race, which is really cool. But besides that, hasn't had a great year, but it's been enough to garner the attention of the people over at Austin Martin because they have made him the first member of their driver academy. I thought that they already had like their driver academy up and going because I thought like, like Felipe Drugovich was technically part of that, but I guess that is different in some way. So Mari Boya joins the academy.
hmm.
Um, he, I mean, he's a young guy who definitely has some future in motorsports. I just am a little puzzled by this move to because realistically it means that the team thinks that he has a future in F1, which I mean maybe, but I'm not really too sure about. He's he's 21 years old already, which is far from old, but you know it's hey, you should if you're going to do something in F3, it's time to do something in F3, especially considering that this is his third year in F3. But he does have, some sort of resume. He was second in F in Spanish F4 in 2020. Real nice season. He's he's done okay in Formula Regional Middle East, which I mean, it's not the best regional championship, but you do have some guys that race over there. And his 2023 season in Euro Cup 3 was good. He withdrew from 2 rounds in 2023, and I mean, if he didn't, there's a chance that maybe he could have been champion. But his F3 career, which has now spanned 3 years, like I said, has been disappointing. Three podiums, one win, 17th finish his first year, 15th finish last year. He's currently 13th in the standings this year. So best of luck to him. I just don't fully see the all the potential, I guess.
Yeah. Um, Something interesting that I have noted is that on the Aston Martin F1.com website, they don't have Mr. Boya on the list, but they have Jack Crawford listed as young driver. So that's
Yeah,
what his official title is there. And then they have a couple
I
other
think that
on that.
they probably haven't updated it because this was announced on Austin Martin's Twitter like 3 hours ago. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like I've seen like on the Twitter, it's I'll read the tweet. Austin Martin put out, it said, "Today we're excited to announce the launch of our Driver Academy, a comprehensive program," which of course they spelled the British way, which is the wrong way to spell program, "designed to identify, support, and develop exceptional driving talent, and welcome 21-year-old Spanish driver Marie Boya as our first signing." So it's something new, something different. Forgot about Jack Crawford being part of the Austin family, in all honesty. But yeah,
Their drivers. Let's go through their. They have some interesting titles as they're on their drivers squad. They have Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso listed as race drivers. They have Stoffel Van Dorn and Felipe Drugovich listed as test and reserve drivers. They have Jessica Hawkins listed as driver ambassador and head of F1 Academy. They have Tina Hausman listed as F1 Academy driver. Have Crawford listed as young driver. And they also have Pedro De La Rosa listed as team ambassador. That's that. I just the some of the verbiage of that is interesting. They have are they like not allowed to use that as F1 driver? Just
uh,
interesting to me.
I mean they should. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they mean that you know they're launching the whatever they decide to call this. This is the new version, new name of whatever they want it to be. Murray Boy is the first addition to that, and everyone else is obviously still there. I don't know exactly. Either way, Maria Boya joins the Austin Martin family to join, like you said, Jack Crawford, Felipe Dragovich, Tina Hausman, and the F1 drivers, and whoever else he said.
So my playlist, Ethan, I'm gonna go back to this. 3,295 songs, 195 hours and 22 minutes, a little over 8 days for you.
Imagine like wanting one song to come on the shuffle play and it takes 8 days. Like, what's the point of having a playlist that long?
Well, if I want to hear a certain song, I just hit the button for that song.
Right, but that's just too long. I think all one people listening know that you're doing too much.
No,
Um,
I
next,
think I'm doing it right. I
no.
think the more like the more songs on the playlist is like horsepower in a race car. The more you have, the better it is.
So Valtteri Bottas, I don't know if you saw
I,
Andrew.
I think you
He
saw the group chat.
okay. He he had someone film him walking up to a Cadillac SUV, Cadillac Escalade, and the guy filming him was like prompting him with things. He was like, Oh, look, Valtteri, a Cadillac. Oh wow, it's a nice Cadillac. Let's open up. They open up the door, and then him and Valtteri are like, wow, look, it's look at these seats. There's no one sitting in the seats. The anyone can sit in the seats. Anyone can take the seat. Um, and he asks Valtteri, if he wants to take the seat or sit in the seat, something like that. And Valtteri's like, not yet. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it because it is hilarious. Um, Also makes me think that something is happening a little bit because why would Valtteri post that if something isn't happening?
He's being a troll.
Obviously, I don't think he would. I don't think he would do it if he wasn't, close to something. And we know the rumors are there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Obviously, this doesn't confirm anything, but I think you can look at it and say, I something might be happening soon.
Valtteri would be the guy to troll and do that, but I
He
do.
wouldn't troll something this level, in my opinion. Like,
That's fair, but I will say I agree with you. I do think
the troll here, Andrew, is that he's teasing us. That's the troll here.
hmm All right. Let's
Yeah.
continue.
So that's that for news for this week.
And now for next week's race previews.
Into the previews. First up, Austria. Um, awesome track. I like it. Sprint weekend, I believe. Not fun. We live.
Wait, it's
Uh, should be.
I don't let me check that because I don't have that in pick points. So either I screwed up or you're lying to me. And all
I'm
of
lying to you. I was wrong. I think it's been a sprint weekend in the past. I don't know.
yeah, it's
Either way,
definitely
not a sprint weekend. Yay. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's been reported that Franco Colapinto had like a 5 race um testing out process. Uh, this would be the end of that if that was true. However, it has been since said by Flavio himself that that is not a thing that exists. So, I mean, theoretically could be Franco Colapinto's last race with the team, but I don't think so. Anything else I need to say for the preview? I don't think so. Red Bull's always good there, which makes sense as it is called the Red Bull Ring. But McLaren will probably bounce back to their first place form after a
Mhm.
somewhat of a weekend to forget in Canada.
All right. Atlanta, Lime Rock, that stupid in-season tournament is happening, kicking off this weekend. Um, where ev where they have 32 drivers face off and in a tournament style. Over the next 5 races, the first race of that, I'm not going to go through the matchups because I don't want to. Anyway, uh, Cup Series, we have 5 drivers listed on the entry list that are open drivers, meaning that we will have a DNQ the first time since 2020 Texas, where the team, well, a DNQ outside the Daytona 500 since that. My apologies. The team that DNQ'd, Team Kahala Racing, never showed up for a race again. So that was a random of random. And they actually didn't show up to the track because there were more than 40 cars entered, and weren't doing qualifying at that point because COVID. Yay. Anyway, there were only 40 cars on the original entry list, but since NASCAR.com has updated that to enter a 41st car, that 41st car is the NY Racing Team of J.J. Yaley. Also in the field open cars, 78 of BJ McLeod, 87 of Connor Zilich. For Trackhouse, 78 of BJ McLeod, that's his own team. 66 will be David Starr for MBM Garage 66. And Corey LaJoy will be in the 01 for Rick Ware Racing. Um, five drivers who I give to for you to watch out for. Since the new repave of Atlanta, 5 guys have won. William Byron and Yuri Logano have won twice, Chase Elliott once, Daniel Suarez once, and Christopher Bell once. Xfinity Series also going to be Atlanta. The 07 will be Nick Lights, Garrett Smithley in the 14, Eric Almirola. That's the green light cars. Eric Almirola in the 19 for Gibbs, 24 for Sam Hunt Racing will be Patrick Staropoli. 32 for Jordan Anderson will be Catherine Legg. And the Joey Gase racing cars will be Joey Gase in the 35, Mason Maggio in the 53. Mason Massey will be in the 45 for Alpha Prime. 70 for Cope family will be Leland Huntingman Jr. And the 91 for DGM with JIM will be CJ McLaughlin. Trucks will be at Lime Rock, a road course up in Connecticut. The 1 for Tricon will be Brent Cruz. The 2 for Ray Ambrose will be William Lambrose. 22 for the team will be has yet to be announced. Maybe Josh Reum. I don't know. We'll see. The 7 and 07 for Spire Motorsports will be Thomas Annunziata, who normally races in the 70 car for Cope family with Leland Honeyman, as I previously mentioned, and will also the 7 for will be Jordan Taylor, the IMSA driver who's made a few NASCAR starts before. Where am I? The 32 for NDS Motorsports will be Dale Quarterly. I don't know if I think that's going to be his own team, but I'm not quite sure. But uh, shout out Dale. In the 44 for Nice will be Josh Balicki. 56 for Hill Motorsports will be Timmy Hill. 62 for Halmar Friesen will be Wesley Slimp. And the 66 for the ThorSport team will be Cam Watchers this week. So moving into pick points.
And now for next week's race picks.
Last week, my dad, for the guests, took 13 points, getting points in every race. I got 6, you got 5, Ethan. I gain another point on you. My dad got Kyle Collette right for Indy Next. We all got Alex Palou right for main IndyCar series. Daniel Hemrick beat out Corey Heim in the trucks. Jesse Love beat out Justin Allgaier and Chase Elliott in Xfinity. And Denny Hamlin beat out Ty Gibbs in Cup. So that total is 170 for you, 152 for me, 132 for the guests. So looking at the deltas, I'm 18 points back. You obviously lead Ethan by 18, and the guests 38 points back, which is the best they've been since week 13, and we just completed week 20, so that's the best they've been in a long time. I guess this week that I've reached out to have not gotten back to me yet, but I will. We'll, we will see what they pick when they pick. Because I reached out to them uh an hour before the time I'm talking. So yeah, they haven't reached out to me, which makes sense. Uh, so yeah, we'll just go through our picks then, Ethan. How does that sound?
Let's do it.
F1 Sprint. We both have the same driver, Nikola Tozlov. Tozlov did well in the sprint race there last year. That's why I picked him. Ethan, if you want to
He
talk.
won, so yeah,
We both picked Rafael Kamara in the main race. Uh, we want to,
he's good,
yeah.
really good. He wins a lot of those.
Um, I took Pepe Marti in the sprint race for F2. He did well there last year. Ethan, you went different, so you can talk about it.
What are we talking about?
F2 sprint.
Oh yeah, Jack Crawford is really good around Austria. He's won there before, so I think that at the very worst, he can do good in the sprint race.
Um, we both took Alex Dunn, and here's my theory. Alex Dunn won the opening round, opening sprint race in Bahrain, so he didn't have one in Australia, and it takes him two more sprint races to win, and now it's going to take him three more sprint races to win. So this time, I think he's going to win. 'Cause this is how the math works. It's the third time after. He's also
Um,
points as well.
I also picked Alex Dunn. My reasoning was different. It's just I don't really trust anyone in that category, but out of everyone, I don't trust. I don't trust Alex Dunn the least.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
we both are picking Oscar Piastri to win. I think he's top driver right now, and I think it sh that's why we both picked him.
Yeah.
We both
And
had
then I think we both took Max because he's really good and that car is pretty good around Austria.
yeah, that team has always been good at Austria. It seems like even when Mercedes was the dominant car a long time ago, felt like Max Verstappen was at least P2, if not P1 in the races. So, yeah. And then we have a diversion, I guess. I'm gonna go George Russell because I think Mercedes are close to that McLaren. I don't think Lando's just gonna have a good. I don't think he's gonna have a good run this time out. I think next time out in Britain, we'll see some improvement from Lando. That's my prediction.
Um, I am taking Lando because he's got to start to bounce back in some way or another. So bouncing back with a nice low P3, and then yeah, he's gonna win Silverstone, hopefully.
Going into the truck race at Lime Rock, the
That's
road
not an
course,
official prediction though.
not an official prediction. Yeah, yep,
No, just something I hope that happens.
okay. Going up to Truck Series, going up to the road course up in the New England area, Lime Rock Park. We're both going Corey Heim. He's good everywhere, dominant in the Truck Series. We thought about going a fun pick like a Jordan Taylor, but Corey Heim's Corey Heim. I don't know why I wouldn't pick him right now. Ethan, you
Um,
same way.
he's he's just amazing, and he's good around road courses. So obviously, he's he's the guy.
In Xfinity, Austin Hill Invitational Super Speedway. Ethan and I both picked Austin Hill.
Yeah.
And then we have a diversion again here. Uh, Cup Series. I'm going with Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott has ran really well as of late. Had a good run at Mexico City. Fifth at Pocono. He's won there in the past. A good run at Mexico City was a third. So he's got back-to-back top fives. First time he's done that all year. And I think he's going to keep that momentum going and win at Atlanta.
I have Joey Logano winning. Kind of funny. I prior to the season, I said that he wasn't going to win any races, but he's already kind of destroyed that prediction. So at this point, I don't care because he's already done it. So I'll pick him. And Atlanta is an amazing place for him. It's yeah, to an extent, it's one of those tracks where anything can happen. But he's also shown in each of the last 2 years that he can win there. And that's obviously a big deal. He's had a meh run of form to put it nicely over the last few races. But this is a track that he's good at. He can go there, get himself right, and jump back to the top spot.
There you go. Do you have anything else to say here, Ethan?
I think that this episode was almost exactly an hour. So look at us, man. Look at us.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah. See ya.
To me, it looked like he actually lost the wheel.
The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect.
Wheel on the track.
Did you leave the wheel loose?
You picked the fine time to leave me loose, wheel.